Hello everyone, I am back with a series of videos that I will be making on the content, the kind of questions that Power Grid AOT Finance exam asks their students. So one of the first things that I have noticed in this exam is that they ask a lot of cost accounting standards. So around 2 to 3 marks, and that is for sure would be there from cost accounting standards. And as you know, us chartered accountants do not have that in our CA final, CA inter, or any uh, CA level syllabus. So I have visited the Institute of Cost Accountants of India's website, and if you scroll down, you'll find the entire comprehensive list of the 24 standards on cost accounting that has been released by the institute. So I'll just be going through this, briefly explaining and helping revise these standards. And mind you, you just don't have to remember the standards, you would also have to understand why or how these standards have come into force. So just briefly understand, I will be explaining briefly what each of these standards entail and what are these mainly concerned with. So without further ado, let us start with the first standard, which is CAS 1, classification of cost. So this is pretty self-explanatory. Any cost that is incurred by a manufacturing entity or any entity, how do we actually classify it into direct, indirect, prime, um, and further into fixed, variable, semi-variable. So this is all about the classification of cost, and rightly so it has been given the first standard. So any cost that is incurred, your first um, process is that you classify that cost. CAS2 relates to capacity determination, and this capacity determination means how much of capacity is a manufacturing unit working at. So for example, there is a capacity of a unit to be producing 6,000 million tons of, for example, steel, but we might be working at an 80% capacity. That might be for many reasons, business reasons, that it's not viable, or raw material shortage. We will not go into those reasons, but from my personal experience, this capacity is a very important metric to understand the viability of a business, and it is also to be reported to the RBI in a quarterly form. So capacity determination is CAS2. CAS3 refers to production and operation overheads. So this standard deals with to bring about uniformity and consistency in the principles and methods of determining the production or operation overheads with reasonable accuracy. So first was classification of cost, second was our capacity determination, and third was production and operation overheads. Number fourth is CAS4 is cost of production for captive consumption. So there are two types of consumption. One is for our own use, which is essentially captive consumption, and another one is which you produce by yourself but you're not captively consuming. You might be using it for your tertiary or secondary businesses, or you might be using it for your employees residences. So all these are your not non-captive consumption, but CAS4 deals with cost of production for captive consumption. Next, CAS 5 is average cost of transportation. So once you have captively consumed, the rest would be uh, sold off or used for other purposes, and transportation would be incurred. That cost is to be averaged and equalized to find out the actual cost that has been incurred for production purposes. Alright, now CAS 6 is material cost, self explanatory, I will not go into details. CAS 7 is employee cost. So, any of your cost that is incurred on your labor, and that is a direct cost which is incurred for your cost of production, that is included in CAS 7. Next, CAS 8 is your cost of utilities, and utilities would mean, I think, overheads. So apart from material and labor, the other overheads would be covered in the cost of utilities in CAS 8. CAS 9 is for packing material cost. CAS 10 is direct expenses incurred for production. CAS 11 is administrative costs that are not direct in nature. CAS 12 is for repairs and maintenance. So let us just revise till the 12 standards. First one was a classification of cost. Second was capacity determination. Third, production and operation overheads. Fourth was cost of production for captive consumption. Fifth was our transportation cost. Sixth was our material. Seventh, labor. Eighth, utilities. You can also remember it as overheads. Ninth was our packing cost. 10th was direct expenses. 11th, administrative costs. And 12th, repairs and maintenance. Now 13th is our cost of service cost center. So any service cost centers that you might be having, so the cost incurred for that is included in CAS 13. CAS 14 is pollution control cost. CAS 15 is selling and distribution expenses. CAS 16 is depreciation and amortization. CAS 17 is interest and financing charges. CAS 18 is research and development cost. CAS 19 is joint cost. CAS 20 is quality and technical know-how fees. CAS 21 is quality control. CAS 22 is manufacturing cost. CAS 23 is overburden removal cost, which means the waste material that is incurred when you actually mine out minerals from the ground. So the dirt or the soil that is, or the stones or any material that you have along with that, which is of no use to you, essentially is called overburden. So overburden removal is in CAS 23, and CAS 24 refers to the treatment of revenue in cost statements. So that's it for today, and I will be further discussing many important topics that are asked in the PGCIL exam. So this would be a complete series that will help you go through the important concepts. Thank you and all the best.